It is Women's History Month. We have Proclamation. Tonight, after the presentation from the Milwaukie Historical Society's Linda Carr.
Thank you. My name is Linda Carr. I'm a board member of Milwaukie Historical Society, the owners and operators of the world's largest museum dedicated to Milwaukie, Oregon. The Milwaukie Museum, located at 3737 Southeast Adams Street, open 1 to 5 on Saturdays. The Milwaukie Museum prides itself in telling all stories, as the past is the past, no matter if it's good, bad, or ugly. We work with organizations like Oregon Black Pioneers, Black County Heritage, Clackamas County Heritage Council, Japanese Museum of Oregon, and the Grand Ron to expand our knowledge and tell the histories of all people that have lived in the area we call Milwaukie today. Join Milwaukie Museum tomorrow, along with our partners, City of Milwaukie, Letting Library, and Willamette Falls Studio, as we are proud to present the second Letting Library lecture series this year, entitled Women's History Project, a Personal Perspective, Wednesday, March 2nd, beginning at 6 p.m. Join us for a celebration of Milwaukee's women as Amelia Gonzalez Clements, a trained anthropologist, will discuss Milwaukie History Society's Women History Project, the process, the interviews, and the findings of her amazing research. The program will also include personal stories from the people that knew them best. Featured will be former Mayor and State Representative Carolyn Tomei, Nancy Wittig, a lifelong resident of Milwaukie and Letting Library employee for over 45 years, Elizabeth Start, a social justice and sustainability champion, and Enid Briggs, a matriarch to both Minthorn Church and Milwaukie Museum. History will record their accomplishments, but the personal stories will show us the true loving and caring nature of our women in Milwaukie. We will also have a special address by Milwaukie City Councilor Catherine Hayes. Due to COVID conditions, we will not have a live audience, but you can watch on Comcast Channel 30 or on City of Milwaukie YouTube channel. Find it online the day of the event by visiting the city calendar at www.milwaukieoregon.gov. To learn more, check the Milwaukie History Museum Facebook page or visit the Letting Library for more details. I'm here to present Women's History, a Women's History Proclamation. As we all know, women play a vital role, not only in Milwaukie politics and government, but also shape the character of what we call Milwaukie today. In the past, women have played a key role in family raising and gathering. Our indigenous forebears on this land would raise the young, make clothing and baskets, and gather wapato, nuts, and berries to create edible food for everyone to eat. Even over the Oregon Trail, and once the white settlers came, Milwaukie women would be the prime caregivers, run the households, and provide education. As women were more accepted into the workforce, women like Florence Olson Letting and Nell Martin broke barriers and created income beyond nursing and teaching. During the 1940s, women like Enid Briggs worked at PNC Tools and other factories, creating parts for the wartime effort and keeping the American economy moving. And by the late 60s and 70s, women like Dorothy Hadley were running their own business and creating success. During the 1980s, women burst into the political scene, like our first female mayor, Joyce Burgess. Since then and always, Milwaukie has never looked back and have institutionalized women as the dynamic and fundamental souls of Milwaukie. Thank you again for permitting Milwaukie Historical Society to speak tonight. To learn more about our Women's History Project and 4 great women of Milwaukie, please watch tomorrow at 6 p.m. on either Comcast Channel 30 or City of Milwaukie YouTube channel. Now, Mr. Mayor, will you please read the proclamation?
Whereas Milwaukie women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our city in countless ways. And whereas Milwaukee women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in every sphere of the city by constituting a significant portion of the labor force, working inside and outside the home. And whereas Milwaukee women have played a unique role throughout the history of the city by providing most of the volunteer labor force of the city. And whereas Milwaukee women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our city. And whereas Milwaukee women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. And whereas Milwaukee women have courageously served our country in the national and state armed forces. And whereas Milwaukee women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movements, and especially the peace movement. And whereas, despite these contributions, the role of women in Milwaukie, Oregon, and our national histories has been overlooked and undervalued. Now, therefore, I, Mark Gamble, Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, a municipal corporation in the County of Clarence in the state of Oregon, and the full support and sponsorship of the Milwaukee Historical Society, do hereby proclaim March 2022 to be Women's History Month in Milwaukee. We recommend its observance of appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. All right. Our next, you may as well stay up there. Our next item is the Enid Briggs Memorial Proclamation. And this will be presented by Linda Carr again and the Briggs family representative, Al Scott.
Hello again. My name is Linda Carr, a board member of Milwaukie Museum and president of Milwaukie Garden Club. I'm here tonight to honor Ms. Enid Briggs, a volunteer, a teacher, a devoted congregant, and mentor to all she touched. Enid Briggs' deep roots in the community began with her two grandfathers settled in the Milwaukie area in 1879, the Berkemeyers, and around 1900, the Briggs, both from Germany. Her mother was born in Milwaukie, her father in Maine. Born on May 3rd, 1925, in her parents' home on Briggs Avenue, her childhood was great and included ice skating and Christmas reunions with her 36 first cousins. She was active in 4-H with a horse, goats, a rabbit, and lots of chickens. During World War II, she was a cadet in the Civil Air Patrol, serving as a spotter looking for enemy submarines in the Columbia River. She graduated from Milwaukie High School in 1943 and worked at PNC Tool Company making tools for the Army and Navy for 3 years. Ms. Briggs graduated from George Fox University and later Linfield College. She also took classes at Portland State University and studied marine biology at Oregon State University. Her subjects were physical education, biology, and history. Ms. Briggs was a mentor to hundreds of students she called her kids, including myself, with whom she stayed in touch. Starting out coaching women's sports at George Fox, she then taught at Napa High School in Astoria, Oregon, from 1953 to 1974. She went on to teach at North Clackamas Christian School from 1974 until 1987. During those years, she coached various women's sports, including track, softball, basketball, and volleyball. During retirement, Ms. Briggs continued working with children in a foster grandparent program, then volunteered at Billquist School and worked at Parrot Creek Boys Ranch. Always the educator, while living at Deerfield Village Assisted Living Facility, she taught a weekly nature club and a history club. Ms. Briggs was a charter member and lifelong volunteer of Minthorn Church, which became Milwaukie Covenant Church, including teaching Sunday school for many years. She was very involved in the Milwaukie Garden Club and the Milwaukie Historical Society. serving as a board member for both. Researching the area's churches, collecting artifacts, and volunteering to staff the museum after Madeline Bowl passed away. Ms. Briggs recently passed away, but not only did she leave a lasting legacy to Milwaukie, but also to all of her kids. And there's Enid, here tonight to share more about Enid Briggs as her nephew-in-law, Al Scott.
That the men were a little jealous of her. I can't remember if it was in 10 years. I think she'd lost 6 games. I believe it was 6 games or something like that. And so she was really a winner in all the sports that she coached. She had a huge trophy at Deerfield that she had from when she coached, from as a coach's award. Now, she mentioned that she was a lifelong educator, and she kept going. When she was through teaching at Napa and North Clackamas Christian, and she was volunteering at Parrot Creek, she also taught homeschooler children in her backyard. She had about 1.5 acres there on Briggs Avenue. And Enid would be the only one. She was supposed to be the first one in the area that had the backyard nature habitat program from the Audubon Society. Everything had to be a, Oregon, natural plant. And so Enid, she brought a special plant in that she didn't have. And that plant was poison oak. And so she planted it there so she could teach the homeschoolers not to get in poison oak. And so we'll fast forward to when she was sold her house to her great nephew, and then she moved in, my wife, myself, and her sister. And when the great nephew was doing some cleanup there, he got caught up in a bunch of poison oak. And came, Enid, did you know that there was poison oak on your property? And she says, yes, I planted it. And so, we all got the biggest kick that Enid knew where it was, but her great nephew didn't know it. And so that was a funny story. She kept teaching even when she was at Deerfield, and till she died. The week before she died, she taught a nature club and a nature and history club, and then she also filled in when the Bible speaker wasn't there. But Enid, she knew they asked her to lead the van. When they go in the little van runs or little mini bus tours when they take them out. And the activities director said, Enid, I want you to choose and pick the places, because Enid would narrate all the history and all the places. They go to the powwow tree, they went to Philip Foster Farms or Barlow, wherever they went, Enid was a living educator teaching all the people on the bus all about history. And so she taught like the week before she died, and she's very well missed at Deerfield. One of the activity director there said, bingo will never be the same without Enid Briggs. I said, why? When they call out B4, Enid would say, before what? And usually Enid was born before most everybody that was there, is what I like to say, but they always think when B4 is called, that's Enid Briggs yelling out before what. But Enid, is truly missed by the people there and missed by her family, but we appreciate the heritage that we have with her. Thank you.
Thank you both for a great presentation.
You have a proclamation, is that right?
Whereas Enid was born on May 3rd, 1925, at her family's home on Briggs Avenue, just south of Milwaukee city limits, and attended Milwaukie High School. And whereas during World War II, Enid was a cadet in the Civil Air Patrol and served as an observer looking for submarines along the Columbia River. And whereas Enid was a lifelong educator, receiving degrees from George Fox University and Linfield College. She taught at the high school level and coached track, softball, basketball, and volleyball in Napa, Oregon, and in North Clackamas County area. And whereas in retirement, Enid renewed her commitment to the Milwaukie community by teaching home science courses staying active in their faith community, volunteering for nonprofit organizations, many of which focused on environmental learning and local history, and included the Milwaukie Garden Club and the Milwaukie Historical Society. Now, therefore, I, Mark Gamba, Mayor of the City of Milwaukie, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the state of Oregon, do hereby memorialize life and achievements of Enid Ruth Briggs, pillar of the Milwaukie community for nearly a century. And I ask all residents of the Dogwood City of the West to reflect on Enid's selfless dedication to our community.
Thank you.
Over to you.